Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 71. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Kevin Ardall and Sean Beatty, and we are joined once again by JT the Ginger. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet at us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean's at Sean_Beatty. Kevin's at Kesley. The first name believes me at 3. JT is at JT_ the Ginger. Let's talk about the Seattle Sounders first, and they're still cursed. I don't know why Kevin won't allow it. But Sean, you were able to watch the game on Saturday. I believe you were live tweeting it a little bit. So I saw your extra
Just a bit.
sadness. So Sean, what happened? What happened against Real Salt Lake? 1-0 loss last Saturday.
It looked exactly the same against Nashville. Well, I guess not the same. Actually, I think they looked a little worse. I think due to calls and some bad luck, they lost to Nashville. I think they straight up got outplayed by Salt Lake. Fry is the only reason why it was 1-0. It's like the Kraken's problem. They just don't have anything going on offense. The offense is getting a little bit worse. It's not getting better. I anticipate and I hope it will get worse. It was such bad weather that probably had something to do with it. It was snowing and had snowing/hail. They had a huge, massive weather delay. That's why I was able to watch it. I missed the first half of the first half, but so it might have been hard to like stop and start and do these other things. So I don't want to look too much into one game with horrible weather, but their offense just was non-existent.
All right. Well, the Sounders will try and get back to the win column here. They take on Lyon in the CONCACAF Champions League tournament. Sean, I'm sorry, they're playing a tournament game tomorrow.
The CONCACAF, yeah, the CONCACAF.
The CONCACAF, yeah, the CONCACAF. They are playing 7 p.m. on Tuesday, and then on, I believe that is Saturday. They play LA Galaxy at home. So please support the Sounders. They are on FS1 on Tuesday, and then they're on Fox on Saturday. So check out the Seattle Sounders. And I'm going to go to Kevin real quick. Why have you cursed them? Why have you cursed them, Kevin? Like, what's up with that?
They have not met my contractual negotiations for blessings. Pretty much, you just got to give me the right amount of money, and then the blessings will come.
Kevin, your right amount of money is like 4 hot dogs.
Well, I was gonna say McChickens.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's roughly kind
of. So Sounders is a very low bar. Like, I think we can make this happen.
Yeah, it's a really.
I require McChicken every 15 minutes, and
that's a pretty high bar.
they're wanting only every half hour now. It's like 15 minutes, bitches. So,
JT, have you been watching the Sounders, and have your kids started playing with the reversible blue and gold jerseys yet?
Jerseys are hard to come by. They've been asking for them nonstop. I hadn't given the strong hand. Say, hey, look, Christmas only comes once a year. You got to wait. As far as the Sounders, I love me some inclement weather soccer necessities. So much fun.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see this. I'm gonna share my screen. Keep going, JT.
I just.
So I heard it was got a mix of snow and hail. So yeah, they delayed for.
Yeah, where's the soccer ball?
I think. Yeah.
There's a soccer ball out there somewhere. I don't know which one.
It's all these right here. They're just falling from the sky, actually.
Good old Salt Lake City.
They said it was 74 the day before too. It was just random. Yeah. But
that's the content we need. Otters.
Yeah, right here, like Otters playing soccer. Like, why do we not have more?
They played just as good as offense as the Sounders did.
Ooh,
however, that is a handball. That is not allowed. Clear handball.
It's true. It's true.
Is that a yellow card? Or is that...
I think the first offense is a yellow card. The second offense would be.
It was a flagrant, intentional, deliberate foul.
Well, when you bite the ball like that, yeah, probably a card.
The Sounders will get some players back though. Rui Diaz is still out, so once they get fully healthy, the Sounders should be back in full swing. But tough start to begin their season, so hopefully the Sounders will get back on track. And remember, you can always support the Sounders because they are usually on Prime Video, so check them out whenever you get the chance. But gentlemen, let's move on to the Seattle Kraken. and things have gotten a little better. Mainly because they broke the losing streak, that 7-game losing streak that we were talking about. They broke it the day our show was uploaded on Wednesday. They won 4-3 against Nashville. Then they went to Washington, lost 5-2, and then yesterday, we're recording this on Monday, Sunday, they lost to Carolina on the road 3-2. They are at Toronto on Tuesday, at Ottawa on Thursday, and completing the Canadian trip with Montreal on Saturday before coming home for a couple of games. It has not been good for the Kraken, but Kevin, have you been able to watch any Kraken hockey recently?
Sadly, no. I've only been keeping up with the scores on ESPN, even though I was thrown off a little bit because, like, I don't know if I don't get to. Do they have like a new like alternate logo, or did ESPN make one up out of their booty?
ESPN probably.
'Cause, like,
ESPN probably made it up.
what they have is not the Kraken logo. When I was checking scores, well, now it is, but they had some like weird circle with a word in it that was like I could barely read it. It was not the Kraken S, so I was just kind of like thrown off by it a little bit. But I mean, ESPN has been known to do drugs here, a couple times a year. So
Call in Nicolas Cage to crack the code.
There you go. But I mean, it is what it is. The season's pretty much kind of already over from pending
Pretty
some
much,
sort
it's
of.
definitely over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pending, Thanos blipping half the
even
playoff
then, the
teams.
season's over for the Sharks, and the Sharks have 20 more points.
Yeah.
Like that's
So I mean, it's kind of like comfort wins. They don't mean anything really. I mean, it's cool that they win for people that are there if they go to see the games live, but at this point it's just kind of like, let's try to get the best spots, or it's a lottery, so best chances to have a better pick in the lottery for that we can do would be best, because we just need to, as we've already mentioned, draft better and sign better, do better with our money. So
yeah, the Kraken will have a lot of money coming up this off season, and Kevin said it's tough year. It absolutely is, and just kind of enjoy the Seattle hockey while you have it. I have tickets to April 16th on a Saturday against New Jersey Devils, so that's my last game this season. I am 1-3 so far, but based on their record, I'm sure a lot of fans are in the same boat. So hopefully they get a win in that final game. I'll at least get to see great defenseman and PK Subban, assuming he isn't traded. So that would not be cool, but that would be great to see him play live. And we had the number 2 pick in the last year's draft, and looks like there's some pretty good talent in the Ontario Hockey League, as well as a couple European leagues. So a top 3-4 pick, you're going to get a very good player. And I believe we talked about it last week, but Matty Benier's in Michigan. He's playing well, and I believe they're getting ready for the Frozen Four tournament. So be paying attention to that kid, because he's leading Michigan in points right now. So should be a good future for him with the Kraken in the NHL. JT, any Kraken hockey you've watched recently?
Bits and pieces. Is Giordano, since the All-Star break, most shots on goal, that doesn't seem like a long-term solution to their scoring problem. Usually I'm just really excited to see Appleton go support the fellow Ginger, but it's just kind of seeing, trying to keep tabs on names and just see how they finish. There's like 20 some games left, maybe right around that. So I haven't seen much. I mean, Eberle's kind of been a guy I've identified with, but I mean, just it's been pretty bleak since the All-Star break, and I don't know. I've seen more Americans hockey live in person. There's actually a geeky banner up in the corner of the Coliseum, and so I see him. I wave at the geeky banner when I go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's Gio's 1,000th game, I believe, coming up tomorrow. So congratulations on 1,000 games, Gio. Am I the only one who's been to a game? Is that accurate?
I go the 29th of April. Yeah.
So you're going to the grand
game.
finale against the Sharks.
Of course.
Sean, what have you seen so far, the Kraken? What do you think?
Yeah. What I would tell people to do is that they're a young team still. There's a lot of people who'll be here. The Giordano's, those people, the Epperleys, they probably won't be here for much longer. But what I would say is watch those young guys, watch the geekies, watch for what you can build a future around and a base around. That's what I've been saying the last couple of years with the Mariners. Like, watch the guys who will be here in 2 or 3 years. Like, root for those guys to do well. It doesn't even matter if they it doesn't matter if you lose 5-4. Just like, oh, does Geeky have a good game, or does some of these other guys have a good game that you want that will be here and stay here for the future. So that root for these. I don't know how it's going to shape out with some of Brandon Tiff. That's such a sad thing that you got hurt. But just maybe I don't have any young goalies or anything like that. But just like Jeremy Lauzon, like people like that, like Vince Dunn, like some guys like that. Root for like young guys who you could possibly sign to reasonable deals, and then hopefully that's the case, and then kind of root for them to trade the old guys away and see what you can get wise with them, like picks wise, or teams are honestly looking to dump bigger contracts and give you something else in return. So that's something the Kraken can be used to funnel money through for another team to clear cap space, because there's some teams like Vegas and things like that are looking to clear that so they can absorb some other players. And if Vegas is trying to do that, they have to first trade them to the Kraken or somebody like Phoenix, which is Phoenix is probably in one. Then they trade that, and then the Seattle's like, I'll take half their deal, and then we'll send them to Vegas in a deal. But then the Kraken will get a pick for that, like a second round pick from one of the two teams, just to basically they're just there to absorb some salary cap relief. And things like that is what needs to happen with this team, because you can, like Matthew said, like there's a lot of money to spend here. They have a lot of money on the cap. So use that to your advantage this year at the trade deadline too, and trade some of these older guys and really kind of jumpstart this next revolution. But watch the young guys play, because there's still some fun pieces on this team.
So I wrote a column about the Kraken in the most recent Shelton Mason County Joe. Go ahead, pick it up, support me, please. But some of the free agents that will be available in 2022, Sean, I want you to pick your top one out of these names I selected: Claude Giroux, Patrice Bergeron, Johnny Gaudreau, Philip Forsberg, Tomas Hertl, Max Domi, Nazem Kadri, PK Subban, and Evgeny Malkin. Don't pick Hertl because you're a Sharks homer. Don't do it.
It's Hertl or Forsberg, because the other ones are older. Because that's kind of the problem with them, is you don't want to build around a guy who's 36. They're just not going to be there. You want a younger guy who's been in. I mean, Tomas Hertl has been in the ringer for a number of years now. I saw him play at 19 years old, and he destroyed Scotty's team. Suck that, Scotty. A 28-year-old guy who's coming in the prime of his career, who's big forward, who can score goals and can do it by himself and takes over series. The problem's going to be is he's going to be traded probably or signed to an extension by San Jose. So if San Jose doesn't sign an extension, you're going to have to trade a lot for him, because it's an anticipation that some of these other teams want him, and when they trade for him, they're going to trade and sign, like Boston. So realistically, Tomas is not there. Forsberg, kind of the same thing, because they want these young controlled pieces. Other than that, man, I wanted to see what how old is Malkin?
36, 35.
You cut out. He's 35.
36?
Yeah, that's like
35.
He's 35. He's about to turn 36 probably, or in a couple months. But it's just, that's a problem with like everybody named like PK, all those guys. They're all good players, but what the Kraken need is not a 36-year-old guy. Like they just don't. You've got to go younger. You got to be a little bit smarter, like a Forsberg or a Hertl. You've got to go after one of these guys. And there's other guys too that are more feasible than that in this upcoming offseason, because they got a lot of guys will be cut and then be made available because their salary is too big and they'll be looking to restructure somewhere else. those are the guys that be cut, and those are the guys you need to kind of go after. Guys that are being paid too much right now, but can work out a lesser deal and work with you. And then you can work on drafting like this Kraken have drafted well, and you could facilitate that and maybe make a trade with for somebody else. But that there's enough pieces here and enough room to make moves.
What Sean's trying to say is, why have the old stag when you can have the young buck?
It's true. It's
That's
true.
2 podcasts in a row.
I was just throwing names out there. I'm just asking questions. That's all. I was just throwing names.
No, we just quoted that on our previous. We just recorded that on our previous podcast. That literally just happened. So, okay. Actually, I reversed it. So stick on that one, JT. Yeah.
The NHL trade deadline is in 2 weeks, so we'll see if any Kraken players are moved. But if you have a favorite Kraken player, I don't think anyone's safe. So just be wary. If you have a young player's jersey, you might want to trade that in or something. Although, I mean, they're still nice jerseys, so maybe you want to keep it. But just be wary. Your favorite player might be out the door. So tell us what you think of the Seattle Kraken. Go ahead, Tris. I'm at Matt. Sean's at Sean_Betty. Kev is at Kev's Believe. The first thing believes me in 3. JT is at JT_the Ginger. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment and tell us what you think of our topics, the Kraken. But let's move on to an even sadder topic, I would say, in the Major League Baseball lockout. So as of an hour ago, Jeff Passan of ESPN tweeted, Tuesday marks another seminal day in baseball labor talk. Sources tell ESPN with a deal, a 162 game season is back, and players report Friday. Without one, MLB cancels another week of games and a future deal becomes far more complicated. And then there's a link to the story, which is free for Jeff Passan's content, which is not always the case. So I am going to throw it to JT here. How nervous are you about this season? Let's go scale of 1 to 10. 1 being, it's fine. They're going to have a deal. We're going to play a bunch of games. It's fine. 10 being, the Mariners are coming to their own. The fudge is going on here. JT, what do you think?
Frustrated is probably the word. My frustration level of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
7. Just it's just this just like this whole like perfect storm of just them kicking the can around, how they went about it in 2020 and not getting enough, only settling for 60 games. It's the CBA thing that's been looming forever, and MLB not wanting to engage in any type of talks. And then all of a sudden in the early February, they're like, you know what? Day after Valentine's Day, if we don't come to a deal, we're canceling games. It's just like, well, don't we have to come? If we want to come to a deal, don't you actually have to like make an offer, have Rob Manfred show up to one of these meetings? Just usually those things would, I don't know. There's just, it seems very apparent they're not MLB owners are not acting in good faith, and it's frustrating, especially if look at through at it as a lens of a Mariners fan. 2022 should have been, could have been, would have been the year, but then 2020 happened. Obviously, a pandemic is what it is, and you try to make the most of it. And it's just, now that this whole labor talk is going on, it's just, you're pushing out this almost like this gift, like we've been, as Mariners fans, been waiting a long time for some type of hope, some type of something to look forward to, and it just keeps getting delayed. And yeah, it is frustrating.
Yeah, I would say I'm at about a 5, and I'm not too worried about the season. I think they'll still play. It's just going to probably be cut down a little bit. The worst part is when Rob Manfred gets up to the mic smiling about not getting a deal done at their deadline last week, and just kind of seeming like everything's fine. It's like the owners just don't, like you said, are negotiating in bad faith, and also just don't really seem to care about the game of baseball. Which, I mean, granted, I'm sure this is not their passion necessarily. They're not like a Mark Cuban or anything like that, but at least, care about the product you want to put out there, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Sean, we'll get to the rule changes that they've agreed to here in a little bit, but Sean, what's your frustration level right now?
Same thing, like you said. I'm sure there's a couple that love the game of baseball, but I'm like 3, maybe 2. Like, that's it. Like, they just don't care, and it's pretty obvious at this point. I don't know how you could defend them.
Kevin?
Say it's at a 6.78. To be honest, yeah. Without repeating a whole bunch of stuff, it's mainly on the owners and commissioner just being a bunch of lazy asses, and it's frustrating because I want to see not only just the Mariners, I just want to see baseball back. Like, as a baseball fan, you just it's with the I mean, sure, you have the XFL's next year, but the AFL or whatever the hell's coming around in April. But I mean, baseball is what holds us until football comes back, type of deal. And honestly, I love watching it too, when I can watch it when I'm out of work. So yeah, it's just frustrating. Hopefully they can get their crap together and we can play some ball.
Well, among the changes that they have agreed to, I'm looking at the Twitter of Bob Nightingale. He said that the union says it would accept a 14-team playoff only if there was a, quote, game in hand for the division winners. MLB steadfastly rejects the concept of a team starting up 1-0 before the start of a best-of-3 series, so still at 12 teams. I believe they have officially agreed to ban the shift, if I'm not mistaken, and they have also agreed to enlarge the bases as well. So Kevin, what do these changes how big are these changes?
Well, I believe that they're not implemented until the 2023 season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than the playoff one, right? The playoff one would go immediately, but
I think the playoff one is immediate, yes.
Yeah, the other ones are.
It's because
Oh, and sorry, one more thing, Kevin. The union also permitted MLB to implement rule changes with 45-day notice, which would permit a pitch clock, shift ban, and enlarged bases in 2023. So,
yeah, I was about to say the pitch clock is also there. They want to make the game more entertaining to generic fans. They want more scoring, which I get, but at the same time too, like it's like football, like for the people that say that, like I think I mentioned in last podcast that people see like the Super Bowl is boring when it's like 2020. It's like, or there's good defense to play too. Like I love seeing like JP Crawford doing that crazy ass matrix move and throwing shit to first. Is it? I mean, you got people like Joey Gallo out there who are peeing their pants because of the shift, and I get it. It now to people who are, because there's a lot of people on Twitter like, well, just hit it opposite way. It is very, very hard to hit a baseball in Major League Baseball, like very hard. Like it's way harder than a lot of people think. We're not going to go into that. We go on for hours on that. Should they be able to? Sure. Yeah, they are the pros, but like it's just not as easy as I have a feeling that there probably is more than there's probably a select few that do want it, especially the lefties. Honestly, I say maybe try it out for a year, but I'm not a big fan of it. I if there are other ways to get around it, and people have gotten around it. Does it suck that it causes a lot of outs, especially for lefties? Sure, but like it's just frustrating. The bases being extra, they just want more stolen bases because it's exciting. Get faster, I guess you could say. You don't need to make the pit. And then the pitch count thing is going to save like 4 minutes on the game. Are we that desperate to make game time fucking that much? And that's the weird part too. You want to make the games more exciting and have more runs, but yet you're trying to kill time on it. Like, I don't know. So all in all, I'll give it a shot for a year, but I have a feeling it's going to suck. So
Yeah, the weirdest one to me is the shift ban. It's I get the wanting more offense. It just seems like a weird thing to legislate how you can play defense in the game. For example, like like Kevin said, it's very hard to hit a baseball and control where it goes for the most part. But it's like in the NBA, if I know you're weak on your left hand, I'm going to force you to go left. Like it just seems like a simple concept as a defensive player to exploit the weakness. And some players' weaknesses are that they just pull the ball. So as a defense, why would you not play that? So I I mean, scoring is great, but like Kevin said, I also appreciate good defense. So not a particular fan of that. Pitch clock, I'm not totally opposed to, but I'm curious what the average pitch count is right now. Like I can't imagine, like Kevin said, it's that much longer than 45 seconds. But there are times where there's a guy on base and they keep looking over or throwing it to first, and I don't know if they've explained like would a pickoff attempt count towards your pitch timer? Like I don't know how that would it reset it? Like how would that work? So I'm sure the details are going to be worked out in that, but it's larger bases. Like I couldn't tell you how much larger they're going to be, but um, that doesn't sound like completely unreasonable to me. But some of the rule changes just seem a little weird, and I understand wanting the games to go a little faster, but if you want more offense, then that's going to make the games longer anyways. So it's kind of a weird position to put the game in. So like if you see a 12-11 game, it's probably going to be 3.5 hours, maybe 4. And I think the average Major League Baseball game is what, about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I went to a game last year and it was a little more than 3 hours, like 3 hours 15 minutes, and it was like a 5-3 game or something like that. So I mean, you know what you get when you're going to a baseball game. So kind of like going to the movies. You're going to get about an hour and a half entertainment. You're going to be about 3 hours entertainment at a baseball game. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, my issue with like I don't have really any issues with like the DH going, the bigger base pass the bigger bases don't bother me, things like that. My only issue is like kind of like how you implement, like you said, how you implement the shift ban. It's not even so much the strategy, but you can't physically legislate, or else it gets really dumb, that part of baseball. Like, because I get that you're going to probably say like, okay, when the pitcher starts his wind up before releases the ball, you can't have the shortstop on the right side of the infield or vice versa. But you can't legislate that the shortstop can never go to that side of the field, because or else that's just ridiculous. So what's stopping the shortstop from standing directly on second base, and as soon as he starts his windup, just running to the spot he would have stood on a shift anyways? So like, I don't like, you're not banning the shift. You're just going to make the guy run more. Like that's all that's really going to happen, because you can't say the shortstop, you can never go across second base, because that's every time he follows through on a double play, he's now on the wrong side of the field. He cannot do that. It just like, it creates a whole nother. So essentially what's going to happen is there will be more running probably, but and maybe some more diving plays is what people are claiming about, but I think shifting will still happen. I think it'll just involve more movement. Pitch clocks, I don't know if they really work. They were kind of shown to be really ineffective, actually, because there's times where like, oh, you get a couple more seconds because you this. If they actually enforce it, I don't know. But pitch clocks are kind of meh. I don't think that they needed. I think that's just the way baseball is. You like it or don't like it. I'm okay with games lasting a while. The only way to speed it up is what they kind of did with like limiting how many people you had to pitch to, like that, like the one pitcher thing all the time, where like you could only come in and face one batter, and then you get pulled or something like that. That was really the biggest source of time. And the other one too, I guess, is the batters really taking more time than anything rather than the pitcher clock. It's the batters stepping out of the box, adjusting their gloves. If they can't leave the batter's box, that would solve a lot of the problem. Actually, not the pitchers as much. So
JT, what are your thoughts on the rule changes?
I think the DH was inevitable. I think obviously more offense. I don't really. I think just in terms of just straight, actually, a diehard baseball fan would probably rather have an actual hitter hit than a pitcher just basically either trying to bunt or strike out very easily. And it's also kind of it's random chance, but it's injured quite a few pitchers over the years, so that'll be nice not to worry
Zach
about that.
Gallen. Sorry.
Or just Scherzer, bunting practice and breaking his nose. I mean, he still pitched the next day, and he's Max Scherzer, he's Mad Max. But I'm for the DH. It was kind of inevitable when there became 15 teams in each AL NL. It's like there's always intra-division game, no matter which way you slice it. So it's kind of bound to happen, and I'm for it. I'm good with it. The shift part almost doesn't make sense to me, because if I think it all the way through, the shift will allow more batted balls in play, and that will prolong the inning, which prolongs the game, which seems counter to what they're doing. The low-hanging fruit argument, which is been talked about forever now, is blacking out local viewers to baseball games. Us here in the Tri-Cities blacked out from watching a Mariners game. I'm sorry, it's a 3-4 hour drive away, but we need to go to the game in order to see it. We can't watch it. It's just the blackouts need to be addressed. If they want more viewers, boom, I bet people would gladly pay a subscription streaming service fee
To your point,
to
JT,
watch.
MLB TV, it's still blacked out there. Locally, you can't watch it, and on streaming, you can't watch it either. There's literally no way, unless you pay like DirecTV, to watch the Mariner game.
You could stream it on Root.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Root, but you had to have some way to view Root. You had to use your DirecTV login to view the Root or whatever, some form that has DirecTV. Root's not widely available either, so that's kind of the problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. So let's talk a little bit about baseball that will be happening. So a couple of suspensions for Seattle Mariners minor leaguers, pitcher Luis Baez, as well as pitcher Bernie Martinez, were both suspended without pay. 60 games for Baez after testing positive for stanozolol. I said that wrong. One of the pharmacy
Kevin?
people help me out here. And then Martinez was suspended 80 games without pay after testing positive for LGD-4033 and Osterine. So I know exactly what those are. So I know exactly what he was suspended for, but look those up for people who don't know what those are. But let's talk about some baseball that is happening. The Tacoma Rainiers start in a month. They host Salt Lake for a 6-game series starting Tuesday, April 5th, all the way to the Sunday, the 10th. And then later that month, 19th through the 24th, they host the, first of all, great name, Sugarland Space Cowboys, from the 19th to the 24th. So they're in Albuquerque the 12th to the 17th, and then they're in Vegas the 26th through May 1st. So I'm curious what your guys' interest level is in the Tacoma Rainiers, presuming
I
the
want to know when
Mariners.
JT's getting the Space Cowboy.
Yeah,
hat.
right. Yeah, he already has it probably. But I'm curious what your guys' interest level is in the Tacoma Rainiers if the Mariners end up missing games. JT, what do you think?
I'm all for minor league baseball, with or without Major League Baseball happening. So now even more so. If you guys want to fight it out, like, it's unfortunately, I understand where the MLB PA is coming from. But at a certain point, as a fan, there's alternative things to watch, and obviously there's totally all these other sports, but to go to a minor league game. I'm excited because locally it's the first time we've had baseball in April in the Tri-Cities, so that I'm looking forward to that. But there's a lot of big names that are not on the 40-man roster that are going to be available to watch, especially at like the AAA level. So I mean, you'll still be able to go out and watch some of these players, but it it's just really interesting. I mean, in the back of your mind, you're like, it's not Major League Baseball, but like some of the names that just got added to the 40 man won't be playing minor leagues, and that's kind of a big deal. Like they won't be, in the actual training facility or practicing. Julio Rodriguez just got added to the 40 man, so now he can't touch a Mariners facility at all. It's in that part for development sake, it's kind of unfortunate, but in terms of just baseball's baseball, like college baseball is going on right now. It's awesome. If you don't know who Tommy Tanks is, go find out who he is. Freshman, I mean, he's just that's what it should be like. If you're the KBO is coming up in a month. That place is all about bat flips and respect. I mean, it's this weird juxtaposition of just fun for baseball. So I mean, I'm amped for it. I'm looking forward to Rainiers and all the others. So it just, you might be without some of those 40-man roster guys that are in the minors technically that won't be available.
Yeah, I live half an hour from Cheney Stadium, so no Mariners. I think I might head over there for a few games. Maybe bring Lauren down if she's interested. We'll get those $9 beers. We'll hang out. We'll watch some Tacoma Rainiers baseball. Sean, what's your interest level?
I live on JT. We went actually the three of us. You missed out, Matthew. Went to a couple baseball games last year, so I like baseball games in person. Personally, and the Dust Devils is a much more affordable ticket than the Mariners, so I'm totally down to go. If the Angels had any sort of prospects, it'd be a little better product on on our local field, but no, it's still fun to go to games. So I'm always down. I would like to go to an Everett and maybe not a AA, but an Everett and a Tacoma game to see some Mariners prospects. See their little stadiums too. I like seeing like. I've been to a couple in the past. We have a friend who she houses some baseball players, and I've traveled, family friends travel with them and seen some other minor league baseball stadiums. It's just fun to see those other stadiums and see the fans at the other places. So, yeah, I'm all about it.
Kevin, what's your interest level?
Pretty well. I mean, it's always a good time to watch some minor leaguers and have some cheap concession stand food with expensive drinks and stuff like that. Actually, even earlier today, I came upon it, so I watched it. So I couldn't say I wasn't desperate, but I was watching the Wiffle Ball League on Twitch.
Ooh, yeah.
The Warbirds were going against the Bombers.
No, actually, Kevin, that sounds legit though. That sounds legit. They have some real stadiums.
No, freaking what's his name? That was a pitcher from Cleveland that went over to LA who was saying like all the pitchers cheated. Was there?
Bauer, Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, Trevor Bauer was there. It was in attendance apparently watching. So it was actually kind of fun, like interesting to watch. It's a league where you can't throw above 55 miles an hour, so you have to like try to curve it, and like you only get 2 strikes. And they had it like the field was legit too. It was like an actual wiffle ball field, and it was kind of cool to watch. I watched it for about 30 minutes. It's twitch.tv/ I think it's like official wiffle or something like that. But it was cool to see. But like I said, it's like some form of baseball, so to speak, that I could watch, now. Like even I watched even that, but if you give me real baseball of minor league teams, hell yeah, I'm gonna go watch it. Will I, because of my work schedule, will I like watch it on like stream it? Like the Rainiers, probably not, but I'll at least check out the scores and the box scores and see how everybody's doing and stuff like that. And then if once the Aqua Sox come down, I'll definitely try to go see them. So, yeah. I'm glad to see some of our younger, talent at least be able to get to. I would like to see, people like Julio and, Kirby get more reps, but unfortunately, with the whole situation, they won't be able to do a whole lot. So, but I would say if at an entrance level, I'd say probably like an 8 out of 10. So
Kirby's going to be pitching. He's not on the 40 man.
oh, he's not. Oh,
So
they
that
didn't
I
kind
think
of-
pitchers that aren't on the 40
Yes.
man that are high prospects, it's going to really help. Like Kirby's going to give a pitch and Hancock, so they might actually be able to, depending on how long the lockout is, but say they get an extra month in, that's a little bit extra more development closer to actually getting
Am
promoted.
I thinking of Brash? Is Brash on the 40?
Brash is on the 40.
That's
He
what.
played the majors last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. I'd like to see him get.
Now, are those
so-
pitchers in Tacoma or are they in Arkansas, JT?
Kirby's in Tacoma, but Hancock is in Arkansas.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to Arkansas, but I'll go to Tacoma. So,
Fine. If you want to be in Tacoma, you can go see Kirby and Zach DeLoach. Don't know who your starting second baseman is going to be because they don't have one technically
Kirby.
listed
He's
here.
gonna play
It's
everywhere.
going to be lots of
He's
fun.
gonna play everywhere.
Yeah, he's going to throw the ball and then he's going to shift over
Yeah.
to second base. He's going to be a 2B/SB.
The third baseman is going to shift over to second, and then the third base coach is going to shift to third.
all right. Well, let us know how excited you are for Tacoma Rainiers baseball. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Bader Matt. Sean is at Sean Beatty. Kev is at Kev with first name being at 3. JT is at JT _ the ginger. We've got about 20 minutes left, so let's talk some Seattle Seahawks football. And I want to start with the franchise tag. So I want to get us on the record before the franchise tag is even a thing. It's Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe, is the deadline for the franchise tag. I shared a tweet in our group Twitter messaging that the Seahawks are possibly going to tag Rashaad Penny. I forget who. Let me go back and look and see who reported that just to make sure I've got the source on that one. But I was actually looking up earlier. Oh, here we go. Tom Pumpernickel. Oh, that's quite a name. Sports bred. Sources: Seahawks are expected to franchise tag running back Rashaad Penny before tomorrow's deadline. Penny had a huge season in Seattle. Clearly doesn't want to lose him in free agency next week. I was doing some digging, and the last time the Seahawks used the franchise tag was 2019 with Frank Clark, unless you guys have information that I don't have. And then I
No,
believe
they did. Then they did it to trade him. Yeah, they just did it to trade him.
yeah, and I read there. Oh, I've only done it twice in the John Schneider era, and I believe the first one was Olindo Mare, the kicker, if I'm not mistaken. I was trying to do some more digging, but I couldn't quite get all the way back
Franchise
to.
kicker.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. But what do we think of franchise tag on the kicker? Or sorry, not the kicker. Rashaad Penny. I'm just gonna go first. Personally, I think they would be more interested in like Dwayne Brown, maybe a Quandre Diggs. I'm have on here. I'll share my screen here. The contract values for a franchise tag, according to Albert Breer, and these are what the cost would be for players for the franchise tag. So if you see there, it looks like the running back would be about $8 million. So I think that's
his total is 9.5 because he is a non-inclusive.
okay. Well, yeah, that seems like quite a lot of money for Rashaad Penny for just having that good stretch at the end. I would personally like to see it go to Dwayne Brown. And then secondly, Quandre Diggs. I think DJ Reed, I saw some of that possibility. I think he'll probably re-sign here without the franchise tag. So I think I'm confident that DJ Reed would not get it. And I just don't really see them doing Rashaad Penny. Now, would it surprise me? A little bit, but I don't see that happening. So, Sean, what do you think of the possibility of Rashaad Penny being franchise tag?
It's horrible. Don't pay a running back $9 million. It's ridiculous. Yeah, you can't pay a running back that much money. The teams who do just it's hard to This just doesn't bode well. Like you can't pay Rashaad Penny double what Chris Carson makes. Like you just can't do it. Like, I'm sorry, paying a running back $9 million is a joke. On a team with this many needs, especially, like you just can't.
And I say Quandre because looking at the values here, looks like that would be the least amount of a tag for a position that is a need. So Kevin, what do you think of the possibility of Rashaad Penny being a franchise? And who would you want a franchise tag, if anyone?
Nobody. That's your goal.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like the fact that Pete is even thinking about it just blows my mind. He's your third running back and you want to give him $9.5 million. Like Carson's your starter, and then you literally had Collins starting over Rashaad Penny, and then Collins got hurt, and then you just had and the whole thing where they're like, where you were reading off, Matt, where they're like, oh, Rashaad Penny had a nice season last. He had a nice 5 games.
Four
at that.
Yep.
But like, why are we even contemplating this? If Pete is actually even thought about this for more than 5 seconds, what's he doing there? Like, you have 5 running backs on this team that have shown good things. Like, why? Like, you don't need 5, for God's sake. Like, as Sean mentioned, you don't want to do any. Would I want to see DJ Reed get $17 million? Hell no. Like, he's barely even like we just consider him a 1. He's a 2 in most like pro offenses or defenses, but like he's just a good 2 that's been put into a 1 position. Let's not like put it more than what it is. If anybody had to be tagged, I would say Diggs. But even then, like, what are we doing with Blair? Like at this point, like, yeah, sure. Quandre Diggs had a very good, I wouldn't say very good. I would say good last 2 years. But is it worth what, 13 million for safety? 12 to 15 million?
13.
Yeah. He's like, he grades out and like SIS total points to like the 20th best safety. Like, are you really paying that guy that much money?
Well, even though it's already kind of shown with what we did with Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs, like you just wasted a 2nd round pick in Blair because you don't know what the hell you're doing at the draft board. Like,
so what is it for him? 12.
You want me to share again?
I got it.
For safety, I think it was 12 million.
Yeah, it was 12 million with the non-exclusive rights.
You can't have players. 2 of the top 10 paid safeties in the league playing for your team.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
It's ridiculous. If Dwayne Brown getting what, 17? I think it was 15 million. Maybe I'd consider it just because Dwayne Brown's solid enough. But like even then, like we need to look to get younger. I like Dwayne Brown, what he does there, and I would be okay with like a 1-year deal. But like we need to clean up this O-line. It's a hot pile of garbage. We just can't expect Russell to just pull miracles out of his butt while he's running for his life, especially if Aaron Donald decides not to retire. Like, God. Yeah, it just needs to be spent in one more better positions, like actual guaranteed contracts of like that makes sense for good players. And using free agency to go shore up your needs, like defensive line and an offensive line, or possibly a good corner, like a guy that can be a number 1. Like I'm fine with DJ Reed being number 2. That's perfectly fine. Trey Brown, and honestly, depending on Trey Brown, you know, I know he's still recovering from his. We'll have to see how he recovers, but I think Trey Brown could be a guy that eventually becomes that number 2 because he is young and he should shift into that. Like why pay Reed a big contract when Trey Brown can take that place and you can go get a number 1 guy or draft a number 1 guy. But will they do that? No, they'll probably take another receiver with their first pick overall because they're freaking weird. Yeah, just that I hope to God that there was just some made up rumor by Like Pete shouldn't even be contemplating that crap, but I know he is because we know he loves to pound that ball. So honestly, if he could, he'd probably give all the running backs like $10 million just to try to keep him on the roster. I don't know why, but that's off.
I just want to point out Trey Brown, March 6th on Twitter. Knee been a problem for that long, and now I'm free. I want to see this man play next season in a Seahawks uniform. It's gonna be good to watch. JT, what do you think of Rashaad Penny possibly in the franchise tag? Who would you franchise tag if anyone, and why would it be Dwayne Brown?
Penny, it's dumb. It's really dumb. I think we're all in the same census here, so we can move on. And why should you franchise tag Dwayne Brown? Because big boys, big toys. I mean, ultimately, we got to protect the blind side. And that man not only does that, but he blocks out, the sun and half the stadium noise probably is why Russell can hear so well in there. But for Penny, it's just a waste of money. And I just, at some point, I hope I wake up. I feel like I'm in a really bad dream, and Pete Carroll's still the head coach and running things. I'm looking at this Twitter link that you have of the coaches, and I'm just like, gross. And it's like, is this an alternate reality? I feel like I should be in a different universe. Like, what happened? Where are we? How did we get here? Please don't spend all that money on Rashaad Penny. I don't even know if you're should spend it on Dwayne Brown. Don't spend it. Spend it for, keep it. Yeah. It's probably be better off getting some dudes trying to recruit. And we've talked about it before, and I've listened to you guys almost every single episode. It's if Russell Wilson's here, it's a reason to come and play in Seattle and try to sell it that way.
All right, well, we got about 10 minutes left, so let's get to a hot take by a former quarterback here. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN tweeted out today, since 2016, the Seahawks have drafted 52 guys. 3 have made the Pro Bowl, and one of those is a punter. The last first-round pick they made that was really good was Earl Thomas in 2010. They have the 4th best roster in their division. Russ should 100% want out. So I just kind of want to get your guys' opinion on that take. I saw Sean and Kevin kind of debating with, hold on, let me scroll down, Saint Javelin about the Seahawks picks since 2015. I'm going to go ahead and start. There's always this narrative, well, at least the last few seasons, about Russ wanting to leave. Last year it was ramped up a little bit because of his camp, releasing teams and stuff like that. This season, I think it's mainly just noise, mainly just hypotheticals, mainly just things that, it's an off season in the NFL. We talk about potential this, potential that. So I really don't put too much stock into it, especially this off season, because unless Russ comes out with his camp again, I don't think there's any credibility to anything that's out there. But should Russ want out? It's really hard to tell where Russ is at. Last year he had this whole camp releasing these teams, and it's kind of like is the writing on the wall type deal. This year, after a bad season, I think a bounce back season would get him to be more into staying and sign an extension and being a Seahawk his entire career. Should Russ want out? I don't think so. Mainly because of how much success he has had here. Now, obviously, the roster doesn't need to get better. They need to play better next season. Otherwise, this is a completely different story. But should Russ want out? I don't think so, and I don't believe that is the case, especially with all the things he said in recent appearances and all that sort of stuff. So should Russ want out? No. And I don't think he does at this moment in time either. So until we hear something from him or even his camp, I am of the philosophy that he's not going anywhere until his contract expires. And I mean, he's had a pretty good success here for the most part, except for this last season. So really don't see much merit in this take. Sean, what do you think?
Well, one, he's correct. Two, the Pro Bowls is just like, it's a terrible way to grade what's good. The fourth best roster in the division, you could make that case. It's probably the third best roster in the division, but I will say that. I just had it. I will say that just despite our best efforts and what we hope to be true, I just had it. Dang it.
Reopen,
Mariners
close tab.
How
How many tabs do you have open?
Just two.
Okay.
How did I lose
I have
that?
30 on my phone alone. Come on. Get on my level.
Don't even get me started on how many apps you have, but started. But it's gonna drive me crazy. The Seahawks have shopped Russell Wilson, or not actively shopping Russell Wilson, but there was a report that from a national guy that they have listened to calls from Cleveland and Chicago in the past. No deal obviously was made or anything like that, but they are listening. They are not shopping Russell, but they're not hanging the phone up as soon as someone says Russell Wilson's name. Let's be very clear there. I listen to sports podcasts all day, especially when I drove to Walla Walla here and back. And every single person that comes on that podcast for every team, the Jets, the Bucks, the Packers, every team, they've done one of the podcasts specifically does like 2 teams each week, and every team is Denver Broncos has talked about Russell Wilson is being talked about by every team. It is not maybe like that the Seahawks are trying to get rid of him, but we already know that not the Browns, but somebody made an offer last year. No, Washington made an offer. The Seahawks declined it. But that is not like that the Seahawks are hanging a phone up whenever someone calls out Russell. They are listening. I don't anticipate him moving, but they are definitely listening. The Seahawks, like what Kevin's talked about, they have to just get better at drafting. Like they don't have to go out of their way or get crazy like with this thing, but they just have to get better. Like the news came out today that the Seahawks are looking to sign an $8 to $10 million wide receiver. Last year they drafted D. Eskridge with their first pick. You can't be wasting draft picks. You can't draft Blair, and we talked about the importance of top 100 draft picks in the NFL. They draft Blair, and then the next year, in the next like 18 months, trade for 2 safeties and give up an incredible amount of money. Then now we're talking about paying them 2 of the top 10 leagues in the deals in the league, and now we're not going to ever play Blair. We draft Cody Barton, again, top 100 pick in that same draft, the most important picks. Then we draft his position another year later with the first round pick. We draft D. Eskridge 2 years later. Top 100 player. We only have so many guys. You got to make these guys count. And then we're going to sign a guy anyways the next year. You can't keep wasting the high value top 100 picks and then just like immediately getting rid of them. I get like, if you make a mistake like one time, like, okay, wait, we made a mistake. Let's move on real quick. Totally fine. But it's a pattern now. They're just a year, boom, done. And they're not even playing on NFL Sundays. They're just like having some practice squad or, practice game rep time. They're like, oh, not good enough. We better trade for Jamal Adams and Diggs. And I'm like, me and Kevin talk about how Pete's ability to just not assess talent on his practices either. I mean, Sherman wasn't playing. Like, so it's just like, I'm just incredibly frustrated with their lack of success. And people always in the post have posted to like other teams like the Rams and things like that. Well, the Rams built a team differently. The 49ers built a team differently. They're like, the Patriots did do that. They've drafted like 3 pro bowlers. And I'm like, yeah, and the Patriots are rebuilding now. They struggled last year. They got a quarterback and they're doing a little better. Like that's how this works. They have a lot. They're not probably a 10-win team. I have a doctor I work with. He's a Patriots fan. He does not think they're a very good team. They still have some work to do. They got lucky to win 10 games this year. So like we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to teams that are barely sneaking in the playoffs or something like that. Like we have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You should be maximizing your deal. You should be building around Russell, being smarter with your early picks. It's just incredibly frustrating to watch this team waste resources every year. And then franchise tag Rashaad Penny.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Kevin, what do you think?
Still, that'd be frustrating.
Oh yeah, Sean kind of nailed it on the head there. Plus, also they've done very poorly bringing. I mean, not poorly. They've done okay, but like when you bring people in, do it smartly. Like, and I say smartly, be smart about it. Like, as you said, like you need good free agent signings and stuff like that. Like, stop trading picks to go get a safety that you already technically had, and then he's a safety that can't play safety, which is that's something too. Like you tried to go get like another Earl Thomas, but then you went and got a guy who's more of a linebacker. Like it just shows you that. And Pete's a defensive guru, as everybody freaking says. Like
he's a DB specific guru. Like
it just frustrates the living crap out of me. Go get, like, honestly, we saw from 2020 to 2021 the Chiefs revamp that O-line with free agent signings and draft, and that O-line significantly improved.
But Kevin, they lost to the Bengals, who built their whole defense on free agents.
Yeah,
just this last year.
In one fucking season. Like, we can do that. We just gotta be smart. But Pete is not smart. Like I don't know how. Like, I feel like I have to like get construction paper and crayon and draw it out to the 12s. Like it's story time with a bunch of preschoolers. Like, Pete is not smart about this crap. Like, period. The evidence shows, and you're just like, oh, but we got wins. We have wins because of Russell fucking Wilson. Period. That's it. Russell fucking Wilson wins this team games because he's that fucking good. Like, the whole starters argument with that weird fuck on the, yeah, like, starters don't mean anything. Like, just because they got picked in the draft and they start, like, coaches make bad decisions all the time. Pete Carroll is, head and above what, everything about bad decisions. Adam Gase, terrible. Fucking doesn't mean that there's people that probably go undrafted or don't get signed that are better than what are starters on teams. It's just they don't get seen or don't get the chance to do stuff because they played for like a D2 school, but they're really good. Like, now, is it possibilities out there that there isn't? Yeah, of course. But like, there is stuff that's missed every single draft where players are going to not get seen, not given that chance. I mean, fucking, we've been talking about on this podcast that John Ursua deserves the shot. He led the NCAA in fucking touchdowns in Hawaii. Like, and the dude hasn't been able to have a snap more than 3 snaps for the Seahawks. Like, and you're looking for a third receiver. You have one, and he got more jacked and more fast, which is crazy. And then you go draft D. Eskridge. We wanted another speedy dude to be your third, and you barely used him. All you did was on jet sweeps because you're an idiot. Like, holy crap. Sorry. It's just the whole, like, it's like JT said, we feel like I'm trapped in a nightmare, like, of just stupidity. And then, unfortunately, because we have no ownership, I don't give a crap. Linda Carroll or I mean, Jesus Christ, Allen, whatever. Jody Allen is not an owner. Yeah, Jody Allen is not an owner. She's not. She just got handed the ball and she's like, what do I fucking do with this? I don't know. Somebody tell me what to fucking do with it. Like, she has no dude. Sell the fucking thing to somebody that actually has like an eighth of a rational thought of how to run this fucking team. It's just frustrating just to see the stupidity. Like, the off-season talks, like, I just hope to God it's just some random troll that's just making this crap up and that Pete Carroll is not that stupid. But I have a feeling he is, because he's just done stupid shit for the past couple of years that we just, every year he's like, I'm going to outdo my own stupidity from last season and the seasons before. I don't know if it's just old age senileness or what the hell the deal is, but it's frustrating, annoying, and I wouldn't blame Russell one bit for wanting to leave. Like, he's not going to come out and outright say that he's that type of dude. He's just going to be nice, and he's a nice dude. He's not going to be like, well, I want to, yeah, he might fish the stuff out there like he did last season, but he's not going to be like, I fucking hate the Seahawks, get me the fuck out of here, like, type of deal. But he's going to be like, I've given you the opportunity to get a brain and fix this fucking team to where it's not me carrying this whole team on my goddamn back. And you literally are just like you don't understand it, and you're just carrying them. Like, yes, Russell Wilson's quarterback, and Russell, should be the main focal point of this team to where he's the key part of what's getting them wins. But at the same time, too, like Russell Wilson's not going to be on his A game every single week. He's going to have off weeks to where the defense or the run game and other components are going to have to step up a little bit. And yeah, we've gotten that every now and then, sure, but like it feels like it's more on Russell's shoulders than anybody else. And that's not fair to Russell. Like, you got to put components around him. Yes, he's got weapons, but honestly, if he's running from his life from Aaron Donald when he's in a division that's just built with nightmarish front fours, like what's the man supposed to do? He's got to turn 33. Like, yeah, he's still in great shape. He freaking posted a video today of him running around his own fucking yard, looking good. But like, still, Father Time gets us all in the end. So just help the dude out.
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Get him better things. So, yeah.
JT, what do you think?
I think that this cornhole bag is a metaphor of how we all are feeling.
Oh, no. Hold on.
How
There we go.
dare you? Oh, damn it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
As
Back.
JT's
Sorry.
showing
Go ahead.
his
Go ahead.
cornhole bag,
Sorry.
Is it
Oh,
gonna
There we
you
go.
go.
Ooh, that's pretty sweet.
melting skull face? We're all just trapped in this. But yeah, I don't even know where we were at. My mind is melted. Just show Russell Wilson and his cannon.
Why is there a soccer net behind him? This must be a
Multi-purpose field.
Yeah.
He's got kids. You gotta train the kids in all sports, don't want them to specialize too much.
He needs to do the more like Dak, like hip thrusts. I think that's what he needs.
He's just doing combine stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of Dan Orlovsky's hot take, as well as a possible Rashaad Penny franchise tag. We'll find out by the time this show is posted. So go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beta Matt. Sean is at Sean Squiddy. Kev's at Kev's Bleed First and Believes being a 3. JT is at JT_the Ginger. Before we go, as always, JT, what is your hat? What is your hat this week?
Gwinnett Stripers. They are a minor league team for the Atlanta Braves.
Single A?
So I want to say they're double A. I don't think they're the triple, but yeah, been wanting their hat for a while, and it was on a small discount on National Hat Day back in January.
There you go. Boom.
Nice. All right. Well, next week, hopefully we will have maybe some actual Major League Baseball movement. We'll see if the Kraken can improve a little bit on their poor season. Maybe the Sounders will get their wins back in order if they get Kevin for McChickens, and we might have some more Seahawk news.
Chicken every 15 minutes.
Yeah, there
Get
we go.
it done.
Not three.
And we'll see if the franchise tag is used. But until then, we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports. Bring back our songs.